Delegates from the African Tax Administration Forum, or ATAF, have commended President Adama Barrow for his commitment to tax reform and domestic resources mobilization, following a courtesy visit to State House. The delegation is in the Gambia for the ATAF masterclass, bringing together tax leaders from across Africa to strengthen revenue administration. Speaking after the meeting, the Gambia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Yankuba Darboe said the delegation briefed the President on the purpose of their visit and the objectives of the masterclass. He said President Barrow reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening tax administration, noting that domestic resources mobilization remains the most sustainable path to national development.
His Excellency is always positive, especially when it comes to tax revenue collection. He is always guiding us, and he is always following up what is happening at the level of GRA. So as such, he has explained his own part of the story, that he's not leaving GRA alone in terms of guidance, in terms of helping us to do what we need to do, because he believes strongly in, he and his Minister of Finance believe strongly, and the Cabinet, the domestic resources mobilization is the way forward. And we, all of us, the Commissioner Generals and the head of delegations, have agreed that that's the best way forward for Africa, because you cannot depend on other countries for your own development. And we, all of us have realized one thing, that we need to work hard and generate the revenue that will be used for the development of our country. But those are past are the days when we have to depend on external help to develop our nation. Africa has got independence for the past 60 years or more, but little has been done simply because we were all the time depending on outsiders to help us to develop. Now is the time that we have to look inward and generate our own revenue and to help our country to develop. And I think Gambia is an example to that. And these are some of the things the President has explained to the delegations, and he has given them encouragement that if Gambia can do it, other countries can do it as well.
Darboe highlighted the country's remarkable growth in revenue collection, explaining that while the Gambia once collected around $3 billion in an entire year, now it generates approximately the same amount every month. He attributed the achievement to President Barrow's leadership, cabinet support, and operation from the business community. ATAF Executive Director Mary Bain said President Barrow encouraged African countries to unite around a common purpose and speak with one voice on development issues.
The conversation that we had with the President, I think one thing that he emphasized was the need for unity of purpose on the continent. And he also emphasized the fact that domestic revenue mobilization is the only sustainable way to build our countries. And he talked about the fact that it is critical for all the countries to talk with one voice.
She added that the President was urged to champion ATAF's mission of building efficient, effective and sustainable tax system across the continent. ATAF Chairman and South African Revenue Service Commissioner Dr. John Stone Makhubu also commended President Barrow, describing political support as a critical ingredient for successful tax reforms. He said the President understands that effective tax system help governments invest in roads, schools, hospitals and other essential public services.
It's a great pleasure to be able to engage with His Excellency, the President of the Gambia, especially to hear how he's able to support the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, but more so to support the GRA in terms of the work that it does. Without political support, we are not able to do the reforms that we need to introduce. We can go all over the world and see great things, but if we cannot bring them home because we don't have political support, it all comes to naught. So it was very great for us to hear the head of state, who's very committed to the well-being of society. He spoke about how the taxes actually impact the lives of the people on the ground, the roads, the schools, the hospitals that are built. And that was very important to sense the connection of the head of state.
Finance Minister Sidi Keita described President Barrow as the Gambia's chief revenue mobilizer, praising his unwavering support for reforms within the revenue sector. According to the minister, domestic revenue has increased from $11 billion to $25 billion within 3 years, helping to improve public services and the lives of Gambians.
The President is heavily involved. In fact, I always refer to him as the chief revenue mobilizer for the country, because he follows closely all the reforms and he guards them with the political will and support. We will not do justice without thanking the good job that the CGGRA is doing with the team. And we have all witnessed as a country the tremendous milestone, leapfrogging of the heights and bounds of the revenue collection, which has moved from 11 billion to 25 billion in the space of 3 years, which is unprecedented. But as we've mentioned, this is what has gone on to better the lives of Gambians.
Keita added that the ATAF Forum offers African tax administration an opportunity to learn from one another and strengthen institutions that can drive a more self-reliant and prosperous continent.
So the Tax Administration Forum, ATAF, is a peer learning session. It's to learn best practices from each other. And what we've witnessed is that this will be another clearinghouse of ideas, learning from each other. And we hope the delegates will go better informed so that the lessons learned can be implemented to enhance domestic resource mobilization across the African countries for a better Africa.
As African countries continue to seek sustainable ways of financing their development, the ATAF masterclass in the Gambia is expected to strengthen cooperation among tax administrations and promote reforms aimed at boosting domestic revenue across the continent. Reporting for the Alcamba Times, I'm Momodou Gagigo.